Wait a second, that piece is how much?
50, $100 million, buddy.
Hey everybody, I'm Saul Colt, the host of the Licensed to Print Money Show, powered by Spreadshop. You know, the goal of the show, for as long as they let me do it, is to show creative people how to make money from their creative life. I hope you subscribed. I hope you smash that bell. I hope you set up notifications, all that stuff, because every Tuesday and Friday, we cover ways to generate income from your creative life. Everything from growing audiences, the nuances of every platform, and lately we've been talking a lot about what to charge for things, pricing your time, pricing your items, and that's where we're going to go in deeper today. So speaking of merch, and I didn't really say merch, but let's pretend I did. Speaking of merch, the show is sponsored by Spreadshop. I've had a Spreadshop for over a decade. I'm wearing a Spreadshop shirt tonight, and in my opinion, they're the very, very best online solution for selling all kinds of merch, like clothing, bags, and all sorts of things. And that's my personal testimonial. I'll do a proper ad read later in the video. So speaking of videos, if you watch our last video, I shared everything I know about selling art prints or original art. I got some great comments and emails about it, and people were appreciative. So today, let's take that theme one step further, and I will share everything I know about what to charge for your art.
How much can you get?
This will be very different than the pricing video I did for freelancing, several videos ago, as some of the rules apply. But selling for your time in a physical thing, there's overlaps, but they're also very different. Like I said in the last video when I talked about, creating limited edition art and things like that, there are no hard, fast rules when it comes to pricing your work.
No lawyers, no politics, no rules, no regulation.
I considered using the same video cutaway that I did last time just to see if you're paying attention, but I used a new one. Okay, so no rules except for one, and you need to take this very seriously. Nothing is more important than covering your costs. I know, it sounds simple, but there are a lot. There are a lot of costs you don't think of. There's paper, ink, paints, brushes, matting, framing, chemistry, and that's if you're using a dark room or whatever, and anything else I'm forgetting. You also have to take into consideration, if this is, a business for you and not just a hobby, then you may have monthly costs of operating out of your studio or your home. Do you travel to create your work, pick up supplies, bring your work to the courier or post office for shipping? There's expenses like gas, repairs, oil changes. I'm sure you have insurance on your equipment as well as your home and car and stuff like that. The pricing needs to cover all those things, and a lot of people don't think about that. Don't forget all those software upgrades so you can keep doing what you do. These are just a few of the costs that come to mind immediately, and if I really think about it, I can come up with some more. See, as you can see, there are a lot more things to consider than just, I'm selling a piece of art and that's it. One of the most important costs that many artists forget is their time. And we've talked about time when we talked about the 5% rule. But how much time did it take you to drive to get that great shot, as the sun was setting? How much time did it take you to paint that item? How much time did you spend in your darkroom getting the print just right? How long did it take you to cut the mat and frame the image? How long did you spend on your computer tweaking that image until it looked perfect? You might be thinking that you'll have to come up with an hourly charge for your time, but I'm not a fan of that for a few reasons. And this may sound hypocritical, but instead of putting a price, things based on an hourly rate, a better way to break down all those expenses into per unit costs.
No perspiration if the per unit price is at all attractive.
You should know how much each print, framed or unframed, cost you to produce. How much to mark up that print is the next step. If you're just starting and you do not have a history of consistent sales, then how much you can secure will be very different from an artist, / creator who has a stable of collectors asking for their work and they sell steadily.
Lots of people love me.
So when it comes to pricing the physical print itself, here is something I learned from a painter friend. She sells her work at $1 per square inch. So an 11 by 14 would retail for $150 to $4. A 24 by 30 print would sell for $720, and so on and so on. Next, you have to add to the price of the matting and the framing of the print. That's actually really the easy part. A good starting point for this, if you want to, is double the cost of the framing. Hypothetically, if the cost of the frame and matting is $150, let's say, and I'm just making up a price, so don't put in the comments you can't do anything for $150. And then you double that markup and add it to the print price using my estimated numbers, the 11 by 14 image matted and framed, up to 16 by 20. That would be priced at $670. Now, now that you know your cost per unit, I like using the following method to aid myself in pricing. Since I know that all my costs are, and every month I know what my sales figures need to be to make my monthly nut, and I don't know why it's called nut. It is a little weird, but anyways, what can you do?
Lousy deal. 1.4 doesn't even cover my monthly nut, let alone drive expansion.
To meet your monthly number, you'll have to be realistic with yourself to determine if you can effectively sell enough art to cover these expenses.
Are you? My salary is X. My expenses are Y.
I could easily say, I'm going to sell 100 pieces this month, but in my heart, I know that's not really going to happen. So if you calculate that, you can't sell that many to cover, you may have to increase your prices slightly. I know many photographers and artists who do the majority of their selling at art shows and fairs, and this works really well for them. But one of the things they do to help cover their expenses for those events, they will have artwork at various price points, making something available for anyone. So one of the things they do is they have greeting cards or postcards, and then they have framed or matted 5x7s, or even a line of shirts from, with your art on it from Spreadshop. And then they'll have the really expensive stuff that, maybe they'll sell one or two of. The next thing that will determine how much you can sell is how long you've been producing and selling your art for in the first place. Someone with a consistent history of selling and whose work is desired by art collectors will command a higher price easily because their work is very desirable. An artist who has gallery representation will obviously secure a higher price because you're now legitimate in the eyes of some collectors, but mostly because a gallery will also take a pretty big commission on the sale. Sometimes it could be as high as 50% or more. So the artist has to consider that when they're pricing their art. They have to build that commission in so they still make money after the gallery makes money.
My commission is $5,000.
Before you even think about your pricing, take a careful look at your images. What are you selling? Your pieces of art. Being that art in a lot of ways has now been, a little bit devalued, a lot of people who, anyone can buy a camera and start taking photographs, and AI has empowered a lot of people into thinking they're artists. I don't believe that, but, some people do. Ask yourself some questions when looking at your work. It's very important to think to yourself or know to yourself, what makes my work unique from any of the other artists for sale out there? Why would a collector buy my work over another artist? Have you developed a style that is exclusively yours? The style and look of the image that makes it stand out from any other artist, providing a perceived value, making it more desirable. Art is everywhere. I always say inspiration is everywhere. We are inundated with daily images, making them seem commonplace. You need to have an image that no one can get anywhere else, that they can't take themselves, and that will make them covet that image. It's so important to stand out in everything you do, especially with your art. In the last video, we went deep on creating limited edition offerings, so I'm not going to do that here again. But one thing we didn't talk about was doing market research. Before you start offering your work as limited edition prints, I suggest you do extensive research on what the art world is presently paying for and the type of art you make. Also research what genre of art is selling in today's art marketplace or art market. I had to look at a famous New York gallery that deals in prints in the rock star and movie star genre. And the editions they offered had at most 3 sizes, and 11 by 14 prints started at about $600 unframed, a little bit more than $600. These were from some of the greatest photographers or most well-known photographers in that business, but it still contains a lot of information that will be helpful to you. Look at the fine print of every listing for every piece of art that you can find. At least, this is where you find your information. It'll often hold a treasure trove of information, like whether it's a limited edition print, if it's a photo, is it printed from the original negative, if it's signed, and if it has a certificate of authenticity. Find as many galleries as you can that have their artist work for sale on their website, and you'll learn much by reading the details on each image. It's all there for you. You just have to invest the time to do the research. One thing we didn't mention in the last video, and that was including a certificate of authenticity.
Came with certificate of authenticity and everything.
Is that right?
We talked about keeping records of everybody who sells, but it's also really important to include a COA. If you're an artist, you should be offering this with the sale of your work. Sometimes the gallery will provide them or create one in conjunction with the artist, but I say just provide your own. There are plenty of templates online that you can work from, or you can just, design one yourself, but you can always find one that suits your needs. They're not hard to create. It should have the title of the work, the year, the print size, the paper type of ink, or whatever is key or different about it. It should have a signature of the artist, so it shows that the COA is from you, and it should also have the artist, your contact information across the top or bottom. Many will also tell you the print has to be many will tell you the certificate of authenticity has to be made of the highest standards of quality, that it's archival, along with a copyright notice and possibly some instructions like the image should not be displayed in direct sunlight or high humidity and blah, 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 blah. And that, pulls it all together. It is so important. I think it's so important this comes from you instead of the art gallery, because you want to develop the relationship with the collector. They want to feel special that you acknowledge them. So when pricing, consider all of your costs. Let's do a little review. Not just the cost of creating the art and framing. You not only need to make sure you're making money on the print sale, but you need to sell enough to cover your business's operating expenses. Be sure to have an extraordinary piece of art. It should be something that makes people stop and look if they see it. Like art should be like a punch in the stomach. If it is not a one of one, you need to decide how many prints you'll have in your edition and keep, limited sizes, what limited size you're going to offer. Keep in mind most galleries will have very limited runs and will only offer 2 or 3 sizes. We talked about this already. Find a printer that specializes in special edition printing. Look at who their clients are and what services they offer to help you achieve your goal. And don't forget, it's cool if you include 1 or 2 artist proofs in the edition run. And also, like we just talked about, research. Check out what other photographers in your caliber and subject matter are selling for and how much. Check to see how many sizes, the number of prints are available. Learn from them. They've maybe been doing it longer than you are. And always don't forget to sign your print and your certificate of authenticity. That's everything I know about pricing. I hope you found this helpful, about as helpful as a Spreadshop and their services. So what's Spreadshop? You see how I work that in? By now, I hope you know, but in case you don't, Spreadshop is the ultimate solution for creating and selling custom merchandise online. Spreadshop offers an extensive range of very high quality products, including all sorts of things like my Saul t-shirt, but they also have, hoodies, hats, bags, art prints, list goes on and on and on. Simply upload your designs and Spreadshop takes care of all the heavy lifting. No need to worry about production, inventory, or fulfillment. All you have to do is visit www.spreadshop.com today and tell them Saul sent you. And if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more tips to fuel your creative success. So until next time, let's get that price right. And also, if you've stuck around to the very end, I don't know if you noticed that my throat's been a little scratchy the last couple of videos. Hopefully, I'm drinking the tea. Hopefully, by the next video or two, my nasally voice that you're used to will be back.
We are here to make money and sell out and stuff.